Okay. So we had intended to do some review on paragraph, what was it, 22 that we did last time? Um, but Mila needs to go at 11. So rather than doing the review first, what we thought we'd do, or what we've decided to do, is that we'll go on to paragraph 23 straight away so that, Mila can give us as much information as possible in the next hour. All right, so over to you, Mila.
Okay. Well, Baruch Hashem. Thank you for joining. I know this is tough time for some people, and it's it's camp, it's summer, everybody's traveling, and things are happening beyond the scope. And Baruch Hashem. So we really appreciate you guys joining.
They're joining
And
from South Africa because it's not summer.
oh, it's not summer, that's what it is.
Yeah, for
I
them
think
it's
Tzipora is in New York, right, Tzipora?
yeah.
Okay, so Tzipora is in New York, and what are we gonna do?
Can you hear me? I don't know how to use this. So,
Yeah, we can hear you.
okay. Yeah. Hi, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna go straight into, I guess, paragraph 23. Baruch Hashem, I have time till 11, which we have around 50 minutes, and then, you'll, I guess, digest with Naria's wisdom and, guiding through this. And as always, we take a deep breath. Anything new that comes in, we just allow it, and without any inner resistance. um, for some reason, not for some reason, I saw a very interesting dream the other night, I should say. Um, it's very, very interesting. For some reason, it was about inner resistance. That sometimes I also noticed that when people speak and you have something against, so then you kind of resist. You don't breathe in. Have you noticed that? Right? But when you're relaxed and you want to accept what the person is saying, you kind of, as they speak, you inhale, right? But if you don't like what the other person is saying, as they speak, you exhale. It's like, it's you're like, oh no, that's not coming in, right? We may not say anything, but that's just like a body, you know, uh, I guess some kind of intuitive, body response to understanding of what the person is saying. And sometimes it's even on an energy level, right? So when a person is speaking, they might be speaking the words of wisdom, right? Saying the right things, but it's how they say, what they say, all that kind of, like we don't want that, right? Because after all words they carry out the kavana behind it. So if a person wants to kind of educate us, right, we will notice that we are like kind of pushing it away, okay? Because we want acceptance, right? But if a person is speaking, kind words and they have kind intentions, even if they're saying something that we may not necessarily like, so you'll see like you're going inhale, right? Interesting. But I saw a dream like that. I don't know exactly what that dream was. The dream was more like, there are different types of dreams. This dream was more of an experience than a scene. Do you know what I mean? Like it was some kind of a bodily experience. Anyway, so I, for some reason, started paying attention. So every time I learn, noticing whether I'm resisting it or not, or I'm actually allowing it to come in. And it's actually very, very interesting. It's very powerful. Anyway, so just sharing that. And share my screen, and we're going to definitely learn something interesting today. Okay, I'm going to close this so it's going to be bigger. It's big enough, Miriam? I think it should be big enough. Something is going on with my shadel.
That looks good.
Okay, beautiful. So I'm just going to press annotate. And we will go on. Okay, paragraph 23. Chav Gimel. It's actually one of my favorite kapitelach, right? It's a beautiful kapitel 23. Okay, Hanimshal Yuvan Lemala. What nimshal are we talking about? What we were talking about 23, right? 22. The paragraph 22, we discussed the two differences between Heelem VeGilui and Etzem V'Hispashtus. Right? Heelem VeGilui is how godliness operates in the world of Atzilus, and Etzem V'Hispashtus is how godliness operates in Bria Yitziri Nasiya. Right? So now we discussed two differences. We're not going to go into those two differences because Nariya's curriculum is to actually delve into it and chew it over about these two differences and all that beautiful stuff. So there's no point of, hashing it over, but you pretty much know what we're talking about, right? The difference. Etzem V'Hispashtus, Hispashtus travels outside of the Etzem. That's it. How could something travel outside of the essence? Because it was never bottled inside the essence in its pure state. There was something there, so it could travel outside. Okay. And you don't get the real thing. You don't get the etzem. You only see the hispashtus. Oh, hispashtus has the properties of etzmos, of the etzem, but it's not etzem. Okay, so now in Heelem VeGilui, it's something different. Heelem VeGilui is Heelem and Gilui are one thing. It's just whether you see it or you don't see it. The vision of seeing something is not separate from the thing itself. Okay? Anyway, so now what are we really talking about? We are talking about the nimshal. This was a mashalim, but we're truly talking about the nimshal. What's the nimshal is about? Nimshal yuvan lemala b'mashakosov and hu afikas aser tikunin. Okay, the nimshal above can be understood from the statement, you are he who brought forth 10 tikunim, right? Meaning that is the 10 sfirot. This is written in Tikkunei Zohar, the same. So what does this mean? You brought out tikunin. What's tikunin? She'inyan tikunin hu b'chinas kelim d'yutzfiras d'atzilas. Right? This meaning of tikunim, there is an aspect of the vessels of the 10 spheres of Atzilus. So in order for us to bichlal understand how Heelem VeGilui works, we need to also understand that it's very different. The kelim of Atzilus are very different. Okay? And the kelim of Atzilus are not the kelim the way we know in Biyah. The kelim Atzilus, the keli is an extension of the light. The keli is more like a hardening of the light. The keli itself. So now what would be the best example? It's like your skin. Okay? Or a hoof of a cow. The keli grows. I'm sorry, the person grows. The skin stretches with it, right? So that's what the keli is. The keli is not like a foot and a shoe. The analog of foot and a shoe, that's in the biyah, where the keli is so quote separate from the light. Okay. Now here, the keli is not in Atzilus. The kelim are not separate from the light. So what are they? Shenetzlu al yidei oires ein sof umeirim mi'atzmus hamatzil. Right? These vessels emanated through the light of the 10 spheres, which shine from the essence of the emanator. Kamuvor b'makom acher, the pirush or hachachma eina metzias hachachma ba'atzmai. Right, as explained elsewhere, the meaning of the light of chachma is not the actual existence of chachma itself. What is it? Ragilui or hamatzil la'atzil metzias hachachma zeu nikra or hachachma. Right, so rather it is the revelation of the light of the emanator to emanate the existence of Chachma. This is what's called the light of Chachma. See the difference? It's not separate from it. It's how the emanator expresses himself through the existence of Chachma. That's called the light of Chachma. But the Chachma is not separate from him. Okay, that's why in Atzilus, him and the way he's being expressed are not two separate things. It's one and the same things, because Metzias HaChachma b'chinas Kli HaChachma. What's the Metzias of Chachma? Metzias of Chachma is the vessels of Chachma. Ach gam hakli eina ma'us HaChachma. However, even the vessel is not the actual existence of the wisdom. Rak makod liyot nimtza mimenu Chachma b'chinas biyah. Okay, rather it is the source from which wisdom can come in existence in Bri Yitzir and Asiyah. Because let's not forget, Atzilus, it's not creation. Atzilus, we could call it, is the world of potential. If you go in Atzilus, you're not going to see anything there, right? It's a potential for the light of Hashem to express itself as Chachma, as Bina. Now, it has already a concrete. It's not, there are many different levels of potential, right? There is a potential for something actual already, right? So we could say it's like more like a Chachma Stima, right? If you remember the mashal of the underground, situation, right? We have Tahom, and then we have Gidim going up. Okay, Chachma Stima, right? There's Gidim going up. This is more what the world of Atzilus is. We already have 10 Gidim, but they didn't reveal themselves yet. Where they're going to reveal themselves? In Biyah, when the actual creation is going to take place. You understand? Are they there? Yeah. Are they formed into 10? Yeah. 11 spheres cannot come out of Atzilus because Hashem already established before the first Tzimtzum how he wants to create the world through 10 spheres. Hashem could have chosen any other system. He was not obligated to follow the system that we have right now. Okay, Hashem could do anything. Okay, but he chose this system on a level of Kadmon. Okay, it doesn't matter right now, right? It's a chapter 10 of Shariah. It's the third level from before the Tzimtzum. Okay, and that's before the world of Atzilus. In the world of Atzilus is the world of potential, not the way that it's an absolute potential. Does that make sense? Like an absolute potential, anything could happen at whatever, okay? This is already a potential, meaning there is Chachma, Bina, Das, etc. There are 10 spheres already, but they're not the same as they are formed as a part of separate existence in the world of Bri, Yitzir, and Asiyah. Okay, they are formed in a way of a potential. There is, in a way, it doesn't use this language, but it says, Rak Makor, it becomes a source that from it, wisdom can come into existence in Bria, Yitzir, and Asiyah. V'lachein nikra hasfiras b'li ma b'Sefer Yitzira. And if we go into Sefer Yitzira, therefore the sfirot are called b'li ma, without whatever, right? Like whatever you want to call it, right? It's without what. How could be without what and still be? That's exactly why Atzilus is a very interesting world, because we don't know this world. You either exist or you don't exist. How could you exist and not exist at the same time? I mean, are you there or you're not there, right? That's how
it's interesting because Atzilus is compared to Chochma, and Chochma in Tanya is called Koach Ma. And that's what you're saying. It's koach ma. It's the koach. It's the potential for the what.
Be something.
It's actually blima.
Right.
It's very subtle. In a way, like it's hard to understand until later when we learn about what koach means on the higher levels. Because I hear that's what you're referring to, where you're on the levels higher than Atzilus, which we're going to learn about later.
And that's easier to understand because there it's only a decision to create a world. We could relate that we could decide something, but we don't know how.
Right.
And then we decide how we want it. But then there's like this, Atzilus is like, it's like a vacuum type of thing. You understand? It's there and it's not there. And I think it's very hard to understand Atzilus, I don't think anybody has a problem understanding, right? That's like we know this, we operate. This is a known, right? It's machshava dibur ma'aseh. We know what that feels, okay? But Atzilus is like this subtle place where it's like, what's going on there? There's no you, and yet it's like a bridge. Do you know what I mean? It's like a bridge into this superconscious. And I think you could say Atzilus is superconscious. You know, it's like that's from where everything comes into existence, you know, but there is nothing there yet. It's not like a Kaylee there. There's no Kaylee there. Anyway.
But there is the structure, like you say, there's the structure.
Exactly.
The
structure is already there.
As 10 Sfirot, because it's already decided that that's the structure.
Exactly. ולכן גם קודם שהאירו להאציל הכלים, היו האורס בשלמוסם בעצמוס המאציל בכוח. Therefore, even before they shone, in order to emanate the vessels, okay, the lights existed in the full perfection within the essence of the emanator, in potential. Now, be careful. We are not talking about in the essence, not in the atzmus mohus. We're talking about in the essence of the emanator. Okay? There is this level of Hashem where Hashem already wants to emanate. He's a ma'or. Okay? That's already like I want. And then after that, he emanates. That's Atzilus. And after that, he creates. Right? It's in the way Hashem is like, you know, creating more tzimtzumim, right? It's like, with this level, it's already after the first tzimtzum. You should know that. And before the first tzimtzum, there were many other tzimtzumim. And between it's like, tzimtzum for us is that when we make a decision, we got married, it's a tzimtzum. Okay, you choose a job, it's a tzimtzum. Why is it a tzimtzum? Well, because you could have become a doctor, an engineer, you could have become, I don't know, a hairdresser, you could become a plumber, you could become, right? I mean, how many professions are out there? Millions, right? But you chose one, whatever that is. That one, it's already a tzimtzum. That you chose for the rest of your life, or for the 5 days that you chose, right? After 5 days, you could change your decision. But for whatever it is, right? You chose this one thing that you're going to do. For example, what am I doing today? I'm thinking, right? There are many things you could do today. You could watch videos. You could be in this class. You know, you could sleep. You could eat. There's so many things you could do. But you chose one thing to do. That's tzimtzum. When you want to cook supper, and you could do gazillions of different things from potatoes and whatever else you have. I'm sure there's variety. Go right to ChatGPT. What can I cook from potatoes, onions, and blah, blah, and whatever, all the ingredients you have, right? It's going to give you many, many recipes. But you choose one, that's a tzimtzum. Okay, so we're not, you know, like that decision is a tzimtzum. Ki amitas ha'or hu yichoso yizbarach laha atzil metzuus chachma o chesed. Right? For the true meaning of the light, what does the light mean? It's his ability, blessed be he, to emanate the existence of chachma and chesed, or chesed. Now, let me ask you for that. Why it brings chachma and chesed? Why it doesn't say chachma and gevura? Just think. Why is it? Because it's a right side. Chochma, chesed, netzach, right? This is the right side. The right side is always a revelation. When we are talking about Hashem revealing himself, okay, we are talking about these spheres. When we are talking about Hashem preventing the revelation, we're going to be talking about Bina, okay, blah, blah, blah. You might think like, well, how is Bina preventing revelation? Bina and Gvura, they are related. They are left side. It's because in order for Bina to do the analysis that she needs to do, she hides the light of Chachma. Because as long as the light of Chachma is shining bright, she doesn't exist. Okay, in order for her to do an analysis, she has to be Devar Yesh. Okay, when Chachma is shining on her, she's nobody. Okay, she doesn't feel her own existence. There is nobody to do analysis. You get it? So therefore, that's why Bina is connected to Gvura. She prevents revelation. Okay. Anyway, that just, a side note. Okay. And in truth, Be'emes, who Kol Yachol. And in truth, he is Kol Yachol, capable of everything. But Yacholet Zois Eina Murkevet B'chas V'shalom. And this ability is not compound, right? Within him, Chas V'shalom. Meaning, it's not like, he has a limited way of expressing himself. He literally could do anything. Okay, Kmo Lemata B'nefesh Hanivra. Like below, in the soul of a created being. But rather the ability is his very essence itself. It's the ability within his essence. It's not something outside of it that he could do and it's outside of him. It's within him. All of creation takes place within Hashem. And it's not separate from him at all. Gam kodem shema'atzil hakelim. Right? And so even before he was matzil, okay, the vessels, his ability was already fixed within the essence of the emanator. Okay? Without any separation and composition at all. This is very, tough stuff to understand. But what this truly means is that his abilities are not separate from his essence. Okay.
Mila, can you go back over those last few lines? I don't know. I really lost you there. And also, there was a translation, either it's a mistake or it's a misunderstanding there. If you could just go back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
let's understand the ability of God.
Right. I think this is Mila, I think this is also a new word.
A new concept, yes. Yecholes, we haven't spoken about it because we truly, Yecholes is the ability of Hashem. There is an essence of Hashem. And then the essence of Hashem has an ability. And that ability could do anything. Interestingly, but there is a distinction between the essence and the ability. Why? Because in essence, Hashem's existence is beyond any comprehension, and therefore we cannot even call it in the word Yecholes, an ability. Because the minute you call the essence of Hashem ability, you're already limiting it to an ability. Do you understand? Right? It sounds like crazy, but that's just what it is. Okay? But how we have to say something. Right? How are we going to express this ability to be Kol Yochel? Right? So that ability, this Yecholes, the ability to do whatever Hashem could, for us as creation is a little bit like a crazy wacko idea because we don't know what that is. Okay? Because we already know things the way within the paradigm of creation. All of us are within the paradigm of creation. Even the smartest people here, okay, they're all still within the paradigm of creation. So how can we envision something that's beyond the creation? It's like there's no mind that could grasp it. And therefore, when we are talking about an ability, we think it's such a cool thing to do anything. But that thing, it's already becomes a limitation. Okay. And then there is an ability which is called Ma'or, right? Where Hashem chooses to express himself through the whole light paradigm. Okay. So he chooses this whole dimension of light and Kalim. But you understand that it could have been anything which we don't even have Kalim to imagine? There is no word that could really describe a system that could go beyond what we are used to think. Okay, but he didn't do that, right? He chose. That's it. That's what I'm doing. Amazing. So now, then Hashem becomes Ma'or. Then Hashem becomes a luminary. He says, okay, since I'm choosing the light paradigm, there got to be something that's going to illuminate this light. So I'm going to become a Ma'or. Okay, so he chooses that thing. Okay, and then Ma'or has light now, right? Because Ma'or does something. Ma'or has Or and Sof. Okay, so that's a third level already, right? There's Yecholis, Ma'or, and Or. And then the Tzimtzum HaRishon happens in the light of Hashem. Tzimtzum HaRishon happens in the light of Hashem, not really. How it's being perceived by the Mekablim. You see? So he creates this halal, makom rekan, so quote, a void of Hashem's light. Okay? And it looks like, oh, that's a perfect place to create the world. And the world becomes into existence through Malchus of Atzilus, Ri, Yitzir, Asiyah, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Now, where all the structure exists of Yecholis, Ma'or, or empty space, where this all exists? In the essence of God. Because nothing could be outside of God. So, Mekablim perceive themselves as separate beings that could walk around, they could eat, they could sleep, they couldn't care less about Hashem's existence, and they could live all their lives, never have a single thought about whether Hashem exists or doesn't exist. It doesn't matter. It's all still within the essence of God, because nothing can travel outside. So because he is everything.
Yeah. Miriam has a question. She's asking if you could explain the Tzimtzum again. Do you want to say your question, Miriam?
Can you explain Tzimtzum again? Because Miriam, go ahead.
Yeah. I cut myself off in the middle of the sentence, but basically the idea of choice. You said something about whenever we make a choice, it's a tzimtzum. But I did not. I can't connect that to my understanding of the evolution downwards in a way of choice. I can't. Unless you say
Hashem chooses. Hashem chooses.
Yes, within a very limited kind of selection of choices. He's got 10 choices. So is that what you're saying? The Tzimtzum are coming down in those 10 selected opportunities.
No, Hashem had many opportunities. He was not bound by only 10. He could have created whatever he wanted, but he decided on the level of Echad, on the level of Kadmon, how he wants to create the world. Yeah, there is, in chapter 10, B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to talk about 3 levels, but I think it's important that I mention it now for the sake of this discussion, that there's a level of Yachid. Hashem is all by himself, right? Then there is a level of Echad, when it's called Machshava Geduma, where Hashem makes a decision that he wants the world, Ana Emloch, right? He says, let us rule. And in that vision, he already, sees the whole of creation. And then Kadmon, it's a decision of how we're going to create, not what we want to create, how we're going to do it. Okay, how I'm going to do it. And in that decision, he wrote everything. Okay, and that's like a big stamp. All of creation right now, okay, whatever you see around here is in that stamp. And it's being re-stamped every time. Okay, and then that comes into Rishimu, right? And then Kav V'chut comes out of it. Rishimu is an imprint. Okay. And this is like very kitzur, okay? And that's it. And that's, how all of creation happens. Okay. And Atzilus is a very, very minor part of, this whole, I think it's part of the chut, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And that's it. And then from that, that chut, that little tiny thread, that's where all of creation takes place. Now, there is a potential, right? There's a yicholos, there's an ability of Hashem to do whatever he wants. He could have chosen things that we can't even imagine because we'll live in the paradigm of the world. So we can't even comprehend what we could have done. But he didn't have a limited amount of choices. In Atzilus, the potential is 10. You're right. In Atzilus, there is a potential for Chachma, a potential for Bina, a potential for all these beautiful spheres, but it's only 10. So potential is very relative. Do you understand? When I'm holding a bowl of clay, I could do all kinds of things, but it's out of clay. You understand? There's a limitation of the clay there. When I have my paint, I could do whatever I could do with the paint, but it's a limitation of the paint, of the medium, right? For example, somebody hands me 10, whatever. You could do whatever you want. You're right, but it's 10. So there's a limitation of number. Okay, so in Atzilus, it's already after the decision. It's already after Tzimtzum, the Tzimtzum Harishon, although there are many Tzimtzumim before happened that, but it's already a set number. Hashem is not renegotiating us. You know what? These guys are so cool. I'm going to give them 11 spheres. No, it doesn't exist. It's 10 spheres, period. This is decided. We're not changing the system. This is what's going to come out. You're not going to see a cow with 3 eyes. Okay, it's already decided that the cow will be like this. And, the bird will be like that. And there's going to be this amount of species of this and this amount of that and this amount of that, right? So that's already pre-decided on the higher levels. Okay, now in Atzilus, there is no true kalim that are separate from the light. There's no such a thing. Okay, it's him, the emanator, and the kalim are one thing. Yeah, it's a very, it is not an easy thing to understand. But in terms of understanding that it's 10, yes, on the level of Atzilus. But above level of Atzilus, it could have been anything that we can't even know what that is. And I don't think we could even, imagine. Because no matter what we will imagine with a brain, it's still going to be a product of creation.
So it looks to me like he's describing this level of, it's interesting to call Yacholet, like ability, a level, a stage. But he describes it, he says, this Yochelet is Kol Yachol, meaning it's an ability, but it still could be anything. It's not like I have an ability to write. That's not Kol Yachol. It's saying that Hashem's ability, the level of ability, is still on the level of infinite potential, and the Yocholet is not. Maybe we should change this word composite to compound.
Compound,
yes. We've come across this idea of with Oneg that there was Morkav and
Pashut, yeah.
And Pashut. It's like Pashut. It's not that it's already something separate within him. It's difficult to understand, but it's still something that's in his essence, like it's essential to him. It's not already manifest as one thing. Is that what they're saying? Where they say it's not compound?
Mm-hmm.
But then,
because it's any chachmas could come out of it, but
or maybe not even chachma. He then chooses.
Oh, exactly. He could, on the level of yicholas,
There's still,
So
it's
it's
just
infinite.
It's
exactly. He's not committing
endless.
to 10 spheres anymore.
Right. But it's still like the next level after,
Of the essence, exactly. It's interesting. I shared in 770 a Sikha, Sapora was there, I think, yeah. Where the Rebbe talks about where the Jew is rooted. Okay, and over there the Rebbe says that the Jew is rooted on the level of Atzmos, which is higher than the level of Yecholis. I was like, wow. So now we appreciate it, right? After Shara Yichud, your appreciation for these type of remarks is a whole new level. Because if you learn this piece of Sikha without the background of Shara Yichud, you have no clue what the Rebbe is talking about. You appreciate it that it's a lofty level. But when you go through like this, B'derech Prat, okay, and you break your head about this Yecholis and and all that stuff, okay, and then when the Rebbe says, you know what, this is even higher than that. A root of a Jew is higher than that. I'll share the Sikha with you. I don't know if I shared. I think I did share before, but it's like a phenomenal thing. It's like, what? And yeah, so now go figure that out, what that really practically means. That means you absolutely have no limitation in literal sense. If Jew makes that decision. Okay. So it's like, wow, thank you very much. We didn't know that. After so many years of Golus, we feel like, Nebach. But this is like phenomenal. Yeah. For me, it's such an uplifting sikha. It's a very, very revealing. And the Rebbe talks is like, he says, it's only in few places in Chassodus that we are discussing the levels before the first symptom. And Rebbe says, why we're discussing these levels to begin with? It says, why it's only in few places? Oh, because it says that it's Kvod Havaya, we shouldn't discuss these things, okay? We're only discussing what's shaykh to us. But then the Rebbe says, if that's the case, why are we discussing it even few times? We shouldn't discuss it at all, right? Makes sense. I mean, if we're not shaykh to this, why are we even discussing? And Rebbe says very strong this because every single Jew, we need to catch the Jew and tell him his true place. And he says that, Yetzer Hara comes and it will tell him that maybe the Jew is coming from Ma'or, okay, from the level of Ma'or, okay, because the Yetzer Hara wants to rip off a Jew from his true source. And his true source is Atzmos. It's a very, very strong language that the Rebbe uses. And it's just beautiful that we're like, okay, thank you. We didn't know that. I mean, I don't know what to do with this information. We don't know it yet. You have a treasure. You don't even know like how to, to bring it down to your bank account. But
Miriam, you have a question?
yeah.
You're muted.
And is that why, I mean, I don't think we've come to it yet, but is that why the word for echad, the one, and what is the other word here? Used for Yitzchak, because he was like to communicate to us the level that he was on, like that, essentially like the Jewish soul coming from that high level.
You say Yitzchak was compared to Yachid?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah, where does it say this? I mean, I'm sure it says somewhere better.
It says this is very long. In any case, I don't want to keep you, but
you're saying it's in this paragraph that he says that?
Yeah, he compares. I looked up the meaning of the two explanations of those words, and then he gives an example of Yitzchak being called like the one of Abraham, but he doesn't use the word echad.
Okay. Let's see when we get to that. I don't remember.
Okay.
I know he says
Yeah.
Yachid. It's very interesting because he talks about Yachid and Echad later. But
Yeah.
let's just stay with where we are here. Now,
Okay.
there's a problem with this next sentence, K'mo lemata b'nefesh hanivra, because it's translated here as unlike, and K'mo,
No, it's like, where are you talking about?
yeah, in the English it says unlike, K'mo.
Which one?
And this
Come on.
ability is not compound. Then the very next sentence says K'mo, and in the English it says unlike, so we need to change it.
Come on. No, this is like.
So what does that mean? The ability is not composite with chas v'sholom, like below in the soul of a created being. What he's saying that the soul is
Oh,
also.
no. The souls are different.
Yeah, so that's
Because
why
by
it's unlike.
us, it's unlike, right?
So, but why does K'mo mean unlike? Usually means like.
ויכולת זו אינה מורכבת בו חס ושלום כמו למטה בנפש הנברא. The translation would be, and this ability is not compound in him, chas v'sholom, like it is.
Oh, I see. It's
Yeah.
a double negative.
Yeah, it's a double negative.
Okay. So in the soul of a created being,
It is separate
ability
because
is separate
technically,
from. Okay.
technically, when the soul leaves the body is separate from the soul, right?
Right.
Like when the body, it becomes the keli for the soul, it's like literally like the foot inside the shoe.
Yeah, but here we're talking about the Yecholet. Isn't he saying the Yecholet in Hashem is not composite, unlike the Yecholet of a human being?
No, but no, the soul doesn't have an ability to express itself however she wants.
Nachon,
She expresses herself through 10 spheres. She cannot all of a sudden make a decision, you know what, today I'm tired, I'm going to express myself through 13. Sorry.
But so what I hear him saying is that we can't compare our ability to the way that Hashem has ability. That's
exactly. No, we still have a potential.
Right.
To what extent a chachma is going to be expressed, to what extent a bina is going to be expressed, blah, blah, blah. But we have a limit of this 10. The soul.
No, it's what I
the
hear.
Essence of our soul.
What I hear him saying something, he's trying to explain to us what is Yacholet. So he says that Yacholet in Hashem is called Yachol. It's not composite. And you can't compare the concept of Yacholet in Hashem to Yacholet in a human being because our Yacholet is not composite and it's not called Yachol. That's what I hear him saying so far. And then he says, rather, this Yacholet, Rak hayacholet hu atzmuto mamish. His ability.
Us and our ability are not, meaning our ability are not our essence.
Right. With Hashem.
Our ability is outside of our essence.
Right.
Okay, so because our essence, exactly.
Right. So he's trying to say this concept of Yacholet is the essence of Hashem and not separate from him at all, and yet it's a Yacholet. And you can't compare it, even though we're using the word Yacholet, you can't compare it to how we experience Yacholet. Okay, Besed in ourselves, Beseder. Okay, now I'm ready to go forward. I hope everybody else is.
Can I ask you a question? Sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know how to work with this system. If I want to speak, do I have to ask permission? How does this work? I'm sorry.
Fine, go ahead.
If you have a question, you can speak,
Just speak.
Okay, so in a created being, would it be rather to say koach hapol rather than yecholet?
No, koach hapoel, that's like the lowest level, remember? I don't know if you went through chapter 3, but chapter 3, in the beginning, we were discussing in Atzim Vispashtos, right? There are 3 levels how the light is being expressed simultaneously as a light, as a chayus, and as a koach. Okay? So that's why we gave this form of Shalim in order to understand how it's all at the same time like that. Okay, so Koach HaPoel Benifal, that was the level of Koach, which is truly the lowest level of expression of the light of Hashem in the paradigm of Etzem V'Spashtus. Okay, now we are shifting completely into Heelem VeGilui. It's Heelem VeGilui because Etzem V'Spashtus in works, meaning the system works in Bria, Yitzir, and Asiya perfectly, and we know it very well. Okay, but Koach HaPoel Benifal, you don't even have control. When I throw a rock, I could aim from today until tomorrow. Oh, I want to get there. Okay, you know how those golf players, they have a whole swinging exercises and they do all kinds of meditations and mental rehearsals and so on and so visualizations. Amazing. But you know what? Once you hit the ball, it's in the air. You have, it's not like ballistic missiles that you could still control, you know, you have no control over this. Okay, it's out. That's it. What control you have? So it's traveling outside of you and beyond that. You don't even know what the heck is going on with this. Okay, but when we're talking about Heelem VeGilui, it's a totally different paradigm. Nothing travels outside of the essence. It's very hard for us to understand because everything what we do travels outside of us. So that's why the Atzilus is like this. What are you saying? It does not make sense. And you feel like you're saying crazy things. Because in reality, the way we experience the world is exactly the opposite. Everything. You said a word outside of you. Even thoughts are outside of you. Right? Thoughts could be measured. They have machines right now. They could measure your thoughts. They could measure what's going on in your brain. How much is that your essence? I have no idea. Okay, so we experience, we don't even know our essence, right? Rebbe has to tell us in the book. So we experience the world constantly outside of ourselves. And now the Rebbe is revealing to us, hey guys, you should know there is a reality by Hashem where everything is within him. And we don't even know what that means. I mean, we're saying the words, but I mean, do we know what that means? What do you mean everything is within him? And yet nobody knows about it.
It's almost like he's teaching us these laws of Atzilus, but they're actually like he's saying what it's not.
Exactly, but that's what Atzilus is. Atzilus, it's ayin. Do you understand? It's the world of ayin. It's not what it is, it's what it's not. Exactly.
Because I mean, the truth is in chapter 1, when we spoke about Chochmah and Bina, so that was the preparation to try to understand something about Atzilus, because we could experience, like when you look at a house, that you see the beauty, but it's so abstract. Like, what is beauty? And then you try to explain it, but it's very, it's like, how do I explain beauty? It's an experience. And then I have to put it into words and kalim, but the beauty is it's something you can think about for a long time that we just, like take for granted. I look at something and I sense the beauty of it. But what is beauty? It's the thing itself. It's an expression of the thing. What is it? You don't even. So in that, I think there is something about our experience of Chochmah that we can go back and really appreciate what it means that the kalim and that all of this sort of thing, because there are just no words for it. But we do know what an experience of Chochmah.
But it is, but I think this is literally a present from Hashem, because truly it's written in many places, Hashem could have created Tzimtzum Kipshuta.
Ken.
Chas v'shalom. Whoa, that, I mean, it's difficult, lucky pshuta as it is, right? We all experience darkness in our life, and that's not kipshuta. Can you imagine what it would be if it would be kipshuta? Like, forget about it. So yeah, it's like unbelievable, right? Okay,
Let's go
so
forward
we
so to
thank
continue.
Hashem for that, right?
Okay.
ואין נבדלת ממנו כלל, right? And it's not separate from him at all. ואם כן, גם קודם שהאציל הכלים. הייסו יכול לזויס קבוע בעצמוס המצב, right? That Yecholis was within his atzmos even before that. Bli shum pirut v'harkova klal chas v'shalom, right? Without any separation or composition at all, chas v'shalom. V'achar kach, shenetzlo hakelim, and after that, when the vessels were emanated, I like this word emanated, as if anybody knows what that means. Okay, Nitasav Hagilui Ligabe Hakelim Bilvat, right? So the revelation of it is in relation to the vessels alone. Why only to the vessels? Because you don't reveal yourself for yourself, right? For example, if I prepare a present for somebody, right? And I present this present to somebody, I'm not excited about it. I'm like, oh, it's a present. Well, you're just the one who did it. You understand? I mean, unless you're completely cuckoo, right? You don't get excited for prepare. I mean, you might get excited to see the reaction, but you know that what you're doing, right? I'll tell you, once I made a joke. I wanted to teach once my kids about what that means, b'yidias atzmai, right? That Hashem knows what's going on in the creation, right? From within himself. It's a part of what the Rambam says. What does this mean, b'yidias atzmai? Right? So I told them, you know what? Okay, I told them, go look behind me. Okay, so I put my hand behind and I said, you see, I did number 3. Okay. And I told him, I know the number. I don't see it, right? But I did number. Do you understand what I did? I put them 1, 2, 3. And I said, I know what number it is. They were laughing at me. I said, that's how Hashem knows. Do you understand? I mean, they thought it was such a biggest joke. They were laughing at it. Because it's like, of course you know. I was like, how do I know? He said, because it's you. And I said, exactly. How do you know? When I do like this here, I don't look at my fingers right now. I know that I'm doing 3. I know that I'm doing 4. I know that I'm doing 1. How do I know? Because it's me who is doing it. It's meaning it's not separate from me. I'm the one who's consciously moving my fingers. So even if I don't look, I still do I still know what I'm doing. Right? So the same way is we could understand this concept with Hashem. It's like things could be happening in creation. For sure, he knows it. He's the one who's doing it. So we're understanding the hashgacha pratis because it's b'yidias atzmai. It's through the knowledge of himself. He knows what's going on in creation because he's the one who's doing it. There's nothing outside of him.
Mila, can we say that the light is the mashpia and the vessels are the makabel?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So that's what it says.
As long as there's a mashpia, there's a makabel. The moment that there's a mashpia, there has to be a makabel.
For sure. Exactly. That's why there is a mashpia to begin with. Because Hashem is not a nutcase. He's not going to be mashpia to himself. Okay. So the minute he becomes ma'or is in order for it to be the or. So why he needed the or? Because he knew there's going to be vessels who's going to be receive it. So once he had in his head, so quote, a system that he wants to create, that was the system for himself. He doesn't need an ability. Who needs an ability? He's chill. He's good. He doesn't need an ability to do anything. An ability is already a desire to express. Remember? A desire is already rats. What ratzon? It's rats. It runs away from the essence. He doesn't need to have a Yecholis. For who? For himself? He is good. He is self-contained. Right? So there's nothing renewed when the light in Atzilus reveals itself. It's only the chidush towards the revelation towards the vessels alone, but not to the light. When I show 1, 2, 3, it's not chidush for me. It's for the person who's viewing it. It's a chidush. Oh, now she showed 1 finger. Now she showed 2 fingers. It's not chidush for the person who's showing it. Okay, v'zeu ani havaya lo shinisi, right? And that's what he says. I am havaya, I have not changed. Ki Hashem hu gilui haor, because havaya, ki havaya hu gilui haor. What's havaya? Havaya is a revelation of the light, right? We're talking already the sovev, right? Va'kelim hem hashemes el elokim k'muvar b'makom acher. And what are the vessels? The vessels are the name Elokim. Okay, and kel. Laha'atzil metzius hakeli ein bo shum shinui v'izchadshus klal. Now, does that sound familiar to you? I think we went through this whole thing, ani havaya lo shiniti, in etzem v'izpashtus as well. No? Who remembers that whole long explanation? That even on the level of etzem v'izpashtus, ani havaya lo shiniti. And he went into this whole thing that not being caught up in creation. Who remembers that whole long paragraph? Not being caught up in creation. And that's why we need it for the mashal of the sun, that it could shine on all windows, regardless of what your windows are, what colors they are, what form they are. I'm shining everywhere. And therefore, I'm in essence haven't changed, although you might have a yellow window, you might have a green window, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now we see even on the level, not even as Allah has kama v'kama, how much more so on the level of Heelem VeGilui, we also don't see any shinui, because it's shinui only for the person who views. Now, I did not see this picture. Now I see that picture. But for the picture itself, nothing changed. I remain the same. It's the same picture. Okay, umitzad ha'izgalus lahatzil ha'kelim, right? And this is so even though he reveals himself, emanated the vessels. Okay, kilo nitafes rak hagilui legabe amakavlim ha'oy. Shema kelim chulu v'dal, right? And the only thing added is the revelation relative to the recipient of the light, namely the vessels, right? Understand this well. Right, and it's enough to understand. I don't know why it falls. Okay, but all there's a human gamken anya v'lo. And in this way, we can also understand the statement "I'm Havai" didn't change. Gam be'atzmus oren sov nimshach alidei tzimtzum harish nebchinas kav v'chud. Regarding the essence of oren sov, nothing has changed, right? Which is drawn through the first symptom in the form of kav v'chud, the line on the thread, right? We're not going to go into this because that's literally chapter 10. And that which is drawn through the kav v'chud, we're talking about a very, very intense symptom. Okay? That's called the emanator. The atzmius ha'or, the Ein Sof, lo yitachen likrosu b'shem atzil, because the essence of the infinite light, atzmus of Or Ein Sof, you cannot properly call it the emanator. Okay, because no tzimtzum ever took place in the essence. Okay, tzimtzum took place only in the light. Mitzad shu b'chinas ein sof v'kol yachol lehizgalois le'ein shiur. For it is infinite, right? And he could do whatever he wants. I don't even know what that fancy word means. Omnipotent. That's nice. It's able to reveal itself without limitation. Okay, rag bechinas hakav v'achud she'or nimdat deyos makor le'ersas spheres d'atzilis. On the level of kav v'chud, okay, which is measured light, that becomes a source for the 10 spheres of Atzilus. Eser relatation, it's 10 and not 9. And therefore it's called by the name emanator. Hina hamshacha zois the bechinas kav v'chud hura gilui ha'helem bilvad. Now, he says, this drawing down of the kav v'chut is only, it's done through Heelem VeGilui, not through etzem v'spashtus. The whole concept of etzem v'spashtus is only from which level? When Bia begins.
Malchus of Atzilus?
Yes, amazing. It's only through Malchus of Atzilus. The whole paradigm of etzem v'spashtus begins Malchus of Atzilus. Everything up until now, it's Heelem VeGilui. Shenigle bebechinas makor ha'ishtalshalus, right? The level of source of the hishtalshalus.
This, I was not sure that this is a correct translation.
No. Shenigle bebechinas makor ha'ishtalshalus. That this becomes the source of the, that it reveals in the level of the source of the hishtalshalus. Whatever. Right, and nothing is being added to the gilui compared to the makor of the ishtalshalos. That's obvious. Right, this refers to the aspect of the rishimu, right, which the root of the vessels. Why? Because the rishimu is the vessel himself. Itself is the vessel. Because all the light of the kadmon, boom. When we're talking about chesima toiva, we want to change the rishimu, not the rishimu. I'm sorry, rishimu you cannot change much. What are you going to change in rishimu? Whatever is imprinted, that's what he prints out. You know how in olden days they used to do newspapers, like old press. They had this metal letters, right? And there was like this guy all night used to put all the letters. You know what I'm talking about? And then they would just press it. And then they would dip it in the ink and then would just like press it. You know what I'm talking about? Once we went to Village Museum, we saw this old press with little metal letters. It was really interesting. I never saw such a press before. I mean, now with computers and technology. So on the level of Padman, that's at least how I view it. It's those metal letters, everything. You understand what I'm talking about? And the Rishimu, it's the newspaper, the imprint. So now, you're going to fight with Rishimu. It's whatever the stamp says, it's going to take imprint and bring it forth. Okay, so we're coming closer to Rosh Hashanah. We say, Chesima Tova, blah, blah, blah. You have to change the Rishimu. You have to change the Ratzon of Hashem. And said, if Hashem decided this person, I don't know, is going to be whatever, blind, sick, okay? Chas v'shalom. On the level of Rishimu, it goes, the message, sick, 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 every moment. You understand? Boom, boom, boom. From the Rishimu, it's not just happened once and over. Recreation happens all the time. So it goes sick, sick, sick. So what are you going to do? You have nothing to do. That's the signal from the highest level, from the highest, minister. It's coming sick, sick, sick. So how are you going to change this? That's why I think it's important to know the place of a Jew. And I think that's why the Rebbe is saying, like, we're mamash on the level of Atzmos, amazing. You're on the level of Atzmos, so you talk to Hashem and say, okay, we're buddies. I don't like it. I don't want to be sick. Change the kadmon. Change the stamp. Once the chamber is stamped, healthy, no problem. So now it stamps healthy. And all the trickles down, all the seder ishtalshalos comes out. The person is healthy, amazing. You understand? That's how it works. You cannot change on the level of Atzilus things. It's already established. That's what it is. This is the Matzis. What could happen is that, let's say a person, it was written on the Rishimu healthy. And the Rishimu prints healthy. But it got stuck in the channels. The channels were not clean. The person felt he wasn't worthy. You see the difference? There's no Or Chadash. There's no new light there. The light is good. The light is coming, the person is wealthy, the person is healthy, everything, right? But he's not asking for it. You know this famous story from the Baal Shem Tov, how he came and he ate everything in that village's house. You know what I'm talking about? With all his students. And he told them, oh, you don't have food. And then he said, no, well, he's sold all his pillows and he sold all his furniture. And this Talmidim was sitting and eating and eating and eating in his whole house. He's like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. And he literally took everything from this guy. And the Talmidim felt like, what's going on with our Rebbe? Why he needs this person suffering? Okay. And then they left. They literally left him with 4 bare walls, ate everything in the house, and then they left. So the Talmidim didn't do anything. Okay, so the guy, he saw the pity of his children, that they had nothing to eat, they have nowhere to sleep, and he davened to Hashem. Okay, and something worked out for him. I don't know. There was a peasant came in. It was like, oh, it's a very long story with many details. So then the next year, Baal Shem Tov said, let's go visit that guy. Okay, so they went and they visited that guy, and they saw this gorgeous mansion, and everything was beautiful, and he was really prosperous. So then the Talmidim asked, like, what's going on? And then he told them, yeah, the guy, he had decree from Shemayim that he's going to be a wealthy man, but he never asked for it, because he was like, whatever Hashem gives me, I'm okay. I'm humble Jew. Whatever it is, I'm okay. As long as I get my 2 rubles, as long as I have bread on the table for my kids. Okay, I'm okay. I'm all good. So what does this mean? That means on the level of Rishimu, he had a gorgeous life. But from Atzilus, it wasn't coming down for him in his creation, in Bia. Why? Because he never asked for it. You see, so there are 2 potentials. One is he doesn't need to say Yiratzon, because Ratzon is there. Hashem gave it to him. He just doesn't have a Kalim. He's not asking for it. It's not coming down. But then there is an aspect where it's decreed as no. But you know what? A Jew is on the level of Atzmos. He can talk, and it will be yes. And many times we saw miracles, but that's a different level of miracle. Do you understand? It's a miracle of Yivi Ratzon, right? That we actually create a new Ratzon in Hashem. That's, that's already a different thing. It's not to bring down the bracha. The Rebbe often says that there are 3 levels of koiches in a person, right? One is a koiches gluim, is a revealed. Then there's a koiches nistarim, they are hidden powers. And then there are koiches hayulim, right? Or atzmin, right? There's essential powers that are not revealed yet, that it's a deeper level of revelation, right? It's like we could give a mashal of a coal that needs just a blow up, and it's gonna give fire. And sometimes it just needs to have hakah, right? It's a striking on the flintstone that gives the spark. You see, the potential is very removed. What if what's it called? Flintstone. It's a cold, it's hard. It could sit in the water for thousands of years. Well, you cut it, there's no fire there, but it could still give a potential for the fire. Okay, so, but that needs to be a striking. Yeah, it's something stronger to trigger that type of response. Where on the lower level, it's more gachelis, more of a pole. That's all what you need is just to give a blow, and it opens up. Okay, and the blow and the strike is 2 different types of efforts that needed.
Milad, is there a Shimo before or after the Kav? It's after, right?
No, Rishimu is before.
The
Kav
Shimo.
v'chut comes from Rishimu.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I just want to tell you that it's 11:15.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for my son to walk in. Anyway, I think we have a lot of food for thought. I don't think we should continue later, because he is, he's going to be, discussing. Yeah. It's quite a lot. It's a long, it's a long paragraph. Yeah.
If you had to summarize, like, where is he going with this? What is he?
He's describing structure of Atzilus, which we have no clue what it is. I'm
But
talking about what we have
he's
a clue.
describing before Atzilus.
It's true, because we need to understand that how Atzilus comes about, so we can understand that the revelation that takes place in Atzilus, it's in the way of Heelem VeGilui, but it's in such a way that it also doesn't change us anything. You see, he has this agenda to show us Anyava Vashaniti. There was no change in Hashem while creating the systems. Now, it's easier to understand that in Heelem VeGilui there was no change, for sure. I mean, my cup doesn't change as whether I see it or not. It's very easy to understand, right? But through Etzem V'Hispashtus, it's not necessarily easy to understand.
So you're saying the
That's
opposite. Etzem V'Hispashtus was easy to understand.
No, it was not. Etzem
Yes.
V'Hispashtus was not easy to understand. No, because you see a real creation. So in the Heelem VeGilui, there's no real creation. It's whatever is hidden is now being revealed.
So he's describing the mechanism of how that works.
Exactly. In Heelem VeGilui, he sees that it's not, it's not, there's no shinui. But that's easier to understand. No, Heelem VeGilui is no shinui. You see, like, I had $5. Now I'm showing it to you. Anything changed to $5? No.
Okay, but what he's describing now is not so simple. So
for sure, because he needs to tell us all these levels.
Right.
In order for us to understand what's happening in Atzilus, how Atzilus to become into being, if you can call it that way, right? Because
Mommy, I'm hungry. I'm hungry.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Hungry.
Love
All
you
right.
guys.
Love.
Much hatzlacha. I will watch the end of the recording. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All right. So, who just left? Okay. So, basically, we're not going to do much more. I just want to open it up and see, like, where you're at, what you understand. I mean, we're in the midst of this process, but do you have questions or comments or what? I can turn off the recording and we can just say, okay, that's the recording for now. Let's stop the recording.